Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Pitt post-game show here from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We are your Pitt beat writers and hosts, Chris Carter and Noah Hiles. Noah is there at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. Look at him. He's on the court and doing everything. I'm back here in Pittsburgh as we try to manage things. We got a big day of Pittsburgh sports with the Steelers playing in a couple hours here. But, Noah, Pitt won their first ACC game, 83-70. Getting off the schneid. It wasn't a pretty game, but it was important to get a win.
It was, Chris. Every coach will say, no conference win comes easy. You would like to think that this conference win would come easy considering, the opponent and the state of Louisville's basketball program. I think it probably came a little harder than a lot of Pitt fans would have liked it to have, and I even think Jeff Capel for that matter. But at the end of the day, they won. And I guess while we're just talking about the win, we could get into the good, bad, and ugly. I'll start off with my good, which was with foul shooting. I mean, the foul line has lost this team games this year, especially against Power 5 opponents. And I mean, it lost them a game a week ago against Syracuse on the road. Its last game. And so the fact that this team went 19 of 21 from the foul line, Blake Hinson specifically great from the foul line, 8 for 8. I believe Jorge was 5 for 5 from the stripe as well. I mean, those two guys, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe with the exception of Fetty, they were, two of the three worst foul shooters on the team. And for both of them to go perfect, it says a lot about the work they put in and about the consistency and how that element of the game, while it seems juvenile, you and I can go shoot free throws. It's a free shot, but those add up. And in a game like this, where your defense maybe isn't up to par, where you're without one of your starters, you're on the road, you haven't been playing well over the past couple of weeks, a boost from the foul line can make all the difference. And they won this game by 13 points. They got 19 free points from the foul line. It was a weapon for them, and that can make the difference sometimes like it did today. Chris, what's your good?
It certainly can be. My good, well, I got to talk about a place that's really good before I talk about my good, and that's Mike's Beer Bar, the best bar in all of Pittsburgh. There were 500 different available beers. 300 of those beers are from the local area, and 80 of those local beers are available on tap. Go to Mike's Beer Bar today for the best bar in Pittsburgh. But the good that was in the game was Zach Austin. This guy was a presence on both ends of the court in a big way. 20 points, 3 rebounds aren't amazing, but he also had 3 assists, also had a block, and 4 steals. He was a presence. He was moving. He was athletic. You saw his athleticism stretching the floor at times, and he was 4 of 9 on 3-pointers. That's something that helps the Pitt offense when teams want to pack it in or pressure or other guys. It kind of put them in the pop pass that they love to use to get the ball in and quickly back out to their shooters. That opens things up. And when you knock down those shots, it allows the offense to be balanced. And I would have made these guys my good, but I had to give a shout out to Zach Austin for being the good, but also Bub Carrington and Jalen Lowe, who both started, Jalen Lowe in place of Ishmael Leggett in this game. I thought they both had good days. Both had 6 rebounds. Bub had 16 points. Lowe had 9 points. Also combined between them, 8 assists, 2 turnovers. One of those turnovers was just Carrington holding on to the ball at the end of the game when they were just running the clock out and just kind of – so really 8-to-1 turnover to assist ratio for both your freshman guards. And I think what helped it was they were allowed to facilitate the game while Hinson and Austin were the big scorers.
Yeah, I really liked what you saw from both of them. Another thing that, should be pointed out, Jalen Lowe, game high, plus 18 in the plus-minus category. Second on that list, Bub Carrington, plus 13. These have been the 2 best players for Pitt in the last 2 games. And, it might not show in the scoring totals or, the traditional stats, but if you watch the game, I mean, they're controlling the flow. I was really impressed because of all the weaknesses that Louisville has, and there are plenty. I thought the backcourt is actually an area of decent strength for the Cardinals this year. I really like their point guard, and Sky Clark's pretty good too. And I thought that Jalen Lowe looked really, really strong in his first start. I'll go to my bad now. On the note of plus minuses, 1 Pitt player finished in the negative, and that was Jorge Diaz-Graham. He finished with a -3. He was 1 of 4 shooting. He finished with 6 points, and that's because he was 5 for 5 from the line. He had an assist and 2 turnovers. And Carter, you don't like to harp on an individual at this level too heavily, especially when they're a reserve guy and they're a little younger. But for the life of me, I really can't comprehend why he's getting more minutes than Will Jeffress right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're getting from him. When he's shooting well from the outside, that's what you get. You get another offensive producer, but he's become a bit of a liability with the basketball in his hands, especially in transition. There were multiple possessions where in transition, Pitt had numbers, and while it didn't result in a turnover, his, for lack of a better word, clumsiness kind of killed a scoring in transition opportunity, and Pitt would have even more points off of turnovers or fast break points if it weren't for him. So I'm not sure what the reason is behind. I mean, I guess the reason is scoring potential because, for all of his shortcomings, he still does score a lot more often than Will Jeffress. But I just don't see why you give him more minutes than a guy who has at least one clear area of the game where he's impactful. Do you agree with that or no?
I mean, I think the one thing that could work with him is that his length, especially
Yeah.
when they go to the zone defense, the
Yeah.
length of the Twins and Fetty, that becomes a problem. So it discourages passing to the inside. That's theirs. But I do agree. Will Jeffress is a better defensive player than Jorge, and he doesn't turn the ball over the way that the Twins do. Because Guillermo was also involved in that a little bit sometimes with just the awkwardness. Though Guillermo might have had the highlight of the game with the drive and dunk that was just insane. That was pretty crazy. But I do agree. Jorge needs to be better. He needs to limit his turnovers, control his body a little bit better. And it'll be very interesting to see if they switch up how they use guys. My bad, though, does talk about the defense, and it's not their defense inside. It was their defense outside. They allowed Louisville to hit 10 of 21 three-pointers. That's a 48%. That is an extremely high rate for Louisville to hit. Now, some of those shots were contested and just, hey, Sometimes you hit those shots, but there were some shots where they were late in just their switches and trying to communicate and getting to the right guys. And against a better team, that might have cost them. Now, a big part of this is also the defense also had got a lot of turnovers, 18 in total, and part of that's also Louisville doesn't do a good job taking care of the ball. But as far as as far as 3-pointers being made, that's the highest percentage of 3-pointers allowed in the game. Now, again, to Pitt's credit, they won the game despite an opponent shooting that at that crazy rate from deep. But that's something that Pitt needs to shore up moving forward if they want to stand a better chance against opponents. Noah, with the bads down, what is your ugly?
My ugly is the state of basketball in this once proud program.
Yeah.
Carter, you and I, we grew up watching the Big East, and we remember when Louisville with Coach Pitino in his white suit on the sideline, they were a force. I remember watching that 2013 national championship that the NCAA now pretends didn't happen for some stupid reason. And I'm sitting in this arena. I mean, it's an incredible basketball venue. They still have a ton of fans that show up to these games. I still think one of the number one revenue producing athletic programs in the country. But the results are just not there. 4-28 last year, 5-9 now this year, or maybe 5-10 now. I'm not sure. Just 2 wins in their last 21 ACC contests.
Crazy.
Jeff talked not a lot, but he gave a really detailed, long answer when asked by a Louisville reporter to talk about Kenny Payne's situation, because it's something he can relate to. I mean, he inherited something similar to this. I would actually say that what he inherited would be what's going on right now with Coach Payne. But it's tough to see as someone, like I said, who grew up watching this program do well, not up close and personal. That was the last guy who covered Pitt basketball for the Post-Gazette. But, just from afar, and you can just feel it. You can feel the disappointment from the fans, from the people who even work in the athletic office here. It just feels like it's not supposed to be this bad. Jeff gave a really insightful answer from his perspective, which you can read in my game story. But it's tough times here in Louisville, Kentucky, at least for the home team. The visiting opponents don't find it very tough at all. But that's my ugly, is just Louisville basketball right now. It's tough to watch.
It is tough to watch, and you're right. I mean, Louisville used to be a consistent, team that was in the run for a 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to see them fall this far. But hey, that happens with scandals, and we see how sanctions can hurt a program. My ugly was the game in general, but not in the sense that that Pitt should be ashamed of anything. I think it was an ugly game because you had 29 combined turnovers between these two teams, and quite a few of them weren't like unforced errors, were unforced errors. Excuse me. There were quite a few that were just unnecessary turnovers, dribbling the ball off the leg, bad, terrible passes by either team. But it's important that Pitt finds a way to win ugly games. Because if you stack those games that are ugly, where you don't play your best and you get those wins, then when you are playing your best, it pays off. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a shot at the playoffs because they were able to win a lot of ugly games early in their season. And heck, look at Pitt basketball last year. There were some games where they played early on where they didn't look elite or anything, but they gutted through them. And then those wins got them just enough of a push at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that they could be a tournament team. That's what it's about. And so it won't matter. It won't matter, how ugly they looked in this game as long as they pulled it out. Now, do they need to improve in their future opponents? Absolutely. They got to get back on track soon. But I think wins like this can help you kind of shake off the rust, shake off any bad feelings you had, and maybe get your team on the right path to get back to getting some wins in the ACC.
Completely agree. All's good on my end. You have anything to add before we wrap this one up?
Not at all, because I got to get to the live chat for the Post-Gazette. Join us there as we cover the Steelers playing the Ravens and their playoff hopes there.
Where I got to get to is there's unfortunately no Mike's Beer Bars in Louisville, but there are a lot of great places that serve some great whiskey. So you enjoy that live chat. Maybe I'll chime in every now and then. I actually probably shouldn't for the sake of my employment. But Chris, I think that's our cue to wrap it up.
Absolutely. Remember to go to Mike's Beer Bar, the best bar in all of Pittsburgh. Over 500 different available beers. 300 of those beers are from the local area. 80 of those local beers are available on tap at all times. They always switch new ones in and out. And remember, when you get there, tell them Chris sent you. From Chris Carter and Noah Hiles and the Pitt Beat. We'll see you again here soon from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.